On Tuesday, we worked on hinge, and we were talking about hinge meaning, you know, keeping our spine neutral while hinging at the hips, right? And we were talking about how this is a very important sort of body awareness skill, because we use the hinge all the time throughout our day, right? And I'm wondering if you gave it a bit of a thought, and if you found moments in your day when you think you need that hinge, and if you were able to find that activation through the back line of your legs that helps you support your back. Yeah. So one example I was offering was when we brush our teeth, right? We really, that's the movement that we have to do to lean over the sink, right? And if we keep sort of collapsing into our lower back, that's potentially something that we do every day, multiple times, that can, you know, aggravate whatever issues we have going on. But if we're mindful and we're including our back line, the legs into this hinge, right? Every time we do this, we're getting stronger, right? Every time the body receives this input that I'm activating the back line of my legs and I'm supporting my back, every time we do this, we're getting stronger, as opposed to getting weaker and using the same part of your back that might be worked too much already.
I love what you're saying, Anuta. Everyone, like, this is super critical when we see people in the clinic with low back pain. It's almost exclusively because, not exclusively, but it's always a case that they aren't able to perfectly dissociate the movement in their hips from the movement in their low back. So this is critical. And then usually a lot of the low back issues we see, they're not from acute trauma, like an accident. They're from little recurrent micro traumas that happen all day, every day. So if we can learn with Anuta how to do this, how to understand and really feel what the difference is between hip movement and low back movement, and translate that into our day, how we get up and down from a chair, up and down off a toilet, how we pick things up. If we can just be more mindful about that stuff, you really are using all of those opportunities to build strength in the muscles that are supposed to be working, as opposed to creating those mini micro traumas and compromising the areas that aren't supposed to be doing that job. So yay, thank you, Anuta.
I was thinking another move that we might do every day is unloading your dishwasher, right? I do it a lot. And when you unload your dishwasher, you know, it's very much like this, right? So if instead you bend your knees and you stay aware of that, closing the distance here, but not shrinking, right? Just closing that angle, using the back line of your legs, you know, that's another opportunity to really strengthen your hamstrings, which you need for walking, which you need for everything, right? And to support your back as well. Okay? It takes a long time, you know, but it's all those little tiny moments, right, that help us get there. It doesn't happen, you know, on one try, for sure. It's as I said on Tuesday, it's profound work. It seems like it's simple, it looks easy, but it's not. Just stop noticing it, right? Mm-hmm. We'll build on what we started working on Tuesday. So I think every week you'll probably know, you've noticed already that every week, you know, I think it's important to spend a bit more time on one important thing rather than just like switching back and forth. So Tuesday, you know, I introduced the concept and we start discovering it, sort of isolating those places. And then Thursday, we sort of move towards mastering it. Mm-hmm. Let's find our spot on the floor next to the wall, and we'll start on our back and have your toys with you. So have your balls, your therapy balls, your blanket, your book and your block. So, and the blanket, we're going to fold it lengthwise so it's sort of longer than it's wider, right? And we're going to tuck the top under, and the thick part will be under your head. Okay. So, and we'll place it on the floor so that when you lie down, your knees will be bent your head will be supported by this higher part, and the edge of your blanket will be supporting the upper back, right? So it's not here, it's under your shoulder blades. And the reason, while you're settling, the reason we're doing that is because we want that lid on the egg to be closed, right? We have that curve in the upper back that kind of develops over time from, you know, the lifestyle that we lead. And when we're on our back, we actually don't notice when the lid pops open. So make sure that the blanket is under your upper back and your head. If you feel your chin is sort of pointing up and your neck is shortened, create a bit more of a rise under your neck. So you feel the back of your neck lengthening. So, and find your therapy balls. I hope they're within reach, so have them with you.
Here, so we can see her.
Your knees are bent, feet on the ground. Take your balls and then stick them lengthwise under your lower back. So one ball is touching sort of the upper rim of your pelvis, and the upper ball is, it will be touching your bottom ribs pretty much. So let's start with the right side. So on the right side of your spine, we're gonna wake up that part of our back so we actually have some awareness, right? And we know when we're holding it still and when we're moving it. Ooh, that might feel already, you know, quite intense. So see if you can tip your pelvis back and forth, but try to keep your ribs glued to your blanket. Notice when you tilt your pelvis back and forth, if your ribs lift off the blanket, right? So keep the ribs heavy and move your pelvis. Sort of like you have that imaginary marble on your navel, on your belly button, and you want to roll the marble towards the wall, right? That you're touching with your toes. And then you're rolling that marble towards your chest, and that action tips your pelvis back, and that's when you feel that, you know, more pressure go into the balls. Press into your feet, lift your hips up, and then move your hips side to side. So the balls are massaging the space between the spine and the outer edge of your waistline, side to side. Nice. And then bring your hips down. Take a moment here. Take the balls out and move them over to the other side. And then do the same on this side now. So first, tip your pelvis back and forth. Feel your lower back pressing into the balls when you tip your pelvis back. And then when you tip your pelvis forward, you create more arch in the lower back and you feel less of those balls.
Just your toes on the wall there.
Yeah. And then press into both feet. Lift your hips up and then start swaying side to side. Beautiful. And then settle in the middle. Tip your pelvis back and forth a couple more times. Yeah, and then take the balls out, put them off to the side. Now, take a moment to notice how your lower back feels. Do you still feel your ribs glued to the blanket? Place your hands on your bottom ribs, and let's take a few breaths together here. Notice the sideways extension through the ribs. Nice and slow, paying attention. Noticing how the ribs can expand sideways. Soften your belly. Through the nose, in and out. Beautiful. Okay, now let's place our feet on the wall and find 90 degrees inside your knees. So now drag your heels down the wall without moving them. Pretend you're trying to take the wall down with your feet. Notice how it activates the back line of your legs. And then relax. And then drag the feet without moving them down the wall again. Again, notice that sensation of activation. Where do you feel it? And notice if you're moving your lower back when you do that. Can you keep your lower back still? Relax. Inhale, expand sideways. As you exhale, dragging your heels down the wall without moving your lower back. Beautiful. And now let's tip the pelvis back and forth a few times and just feel the difference. Now the lower back is moving, right? You're tipping the pelvis forward towards the wall and then back away from the wall when the lower back presses into the floor when you tip your pelvis back. Now find neutral again. So there's a tiny bit of space under your lower back. Your ribs are glued to the blanket. Now see if you can scooch back away from the wall with your blanket so that there's more than 90 degrees at your hips. Just maybe a couple inches away from the wall. Yeah. Very nice. Now the lower back stays still. We'll bring the right hip closer to the chest. Find those 90 degrees again. And notice if your lower back has moved. And then place the foot back on the wall. Nothing changes in your spine. Bring the thigh closer to your chest. Find that 90 degrees. Make sure the hips feel heavy. Your ribs feel heavy. The spine doesn't move. Beautiful. Okay, so we check the right side. Now let's see the left side. Left thigh moves in towards your chest. Nothing moves in the lower back. And when you place it back on the wall, you're tapping it lightly and gently. You're controlling this move all the way back to the wall, right? And nothing moves in your lower back. Very nice. Placing the left foot back on the wall. Now bring your right thigh closer to the chest. Find your 90 degrees. Now start pressing your right hand into the front of your right thigh and resist the thigh back into your hand. Your left foot is on the wall and let's drag the heel without moving it down the wall, activating the hamstring, giving some additional support to the lower back, right? We're using the core. So the abdominal wall is engaging and you're resisting your hand into the right thigh, push. And you're dragging the left heel down the wall. Make sure you still breathe. Even though the core is engaged, there's this gentle extension sideways through the ribs. You exhale and you soften, but you keep creating that tension. And then slowly relax and place the right foot back on the wall. Nice. So left side, bring the thigh closer to your chest so you find 90 degrees, right? Start pressing your left hand, your left palm into your left thigh. Resist the thigh back into your hand. And then drag the right foot down the wall without moving it. And notice if this side is more challenging or less so. Can you still keep your spine completely still? Breathing here, keep creating that resistance between the thigh and your hand. Beautiful. And then put that foot down on the wall. Very nice. Now let's take the balls again. Place your feet down on the ground and stick the balls back under the right side of your spine. Place your right foot on the wall now and see if you can lift your hips off the floor. Right foot on the floor. And then go side to side over the balls again. Yeah. And then place your right foot down. Bring the balls under the left side. And left foot goes up on the wall. And you move your hips side to side. Nice. And then slowly take the balls out. Bring your hips back onto the floor. Let's roll onto our side and push yourself up. Let's find our way onto our hands and knees here. Make sure you can still see the screen. If your knees need a bit more padding, add the blanket underneath your knees. And let's take a moment to move on our hands and knees in whatever fashion your body desires to move right now. Pressing the floor away actively through your hands, so we're distributing the load evenly through your hands and your wrists. Yeah, breathing and moving. Beautiful. Okay. So now find your book or your block, and we'll place this object onto our lower back. Your hands are right under your shoulders and your knees are right under the hips. Move your pelvis here a few times. So tipping the pelvis forward. When we were on our back, we were rolling the imaginary marble towards the wall when we did this. And then tip your pelvis back, right? Tucking the tail under. And feel how the object moves on your back, right? When you're moving your spine. Very nice. Beautiful. So now come back to neutral. So your object feels like it's in a little valley, right? So we're not rounding the lower back. There's a little bit of a curve there. So try to keep this object now completely still. Send your hips back. So we're finding the hinge at the hips again, right? We're not moving the back. We're moving at the hips. We're finding that hinge here. You can tuck your toes under if that works for you. Make sure the object doesn't move. Notice, maybe move further and then notice the moment when the lower back wants to round. So this will be the end for now. Just stay there. Keep sort of your awareness with the object that it's not pushing up, right, through your lower back. Now see if you can move around your hips in a little circle. Again, the movement happens at the hips. Notice that the object is tipping side to side, right? That means that your lower back is tilting. Try to keep the lower back still. Switch the direction of your circle. Beautiful. So this works great with a heavier object on your lower back. So maybe on your own, you can experiment with a bag of flour or some bag of rice on your lower back. All about the hinge, right? Try to differentiate, again, the movement at the hip. Come back to center and then move your lower back again. Feel the difference. Moving the back now. Beautiful, very nice. So take the object off. Let's just give our wrist a bit of a break. Tuck your toes under if you can. Send your hips back, your palms on the ground. Now see if you can pull the hands off the floor, bringing the back of your hand up towards your front, forearm, and then put them down. And then pull up. Try to keep your elbows straight and then press down. Pull up. I know it's hard. So send your hips a little bit further back, Gloria. Yeah, there you go. Straighten your elbows if you can. Yeah, and now try to pull the palms off the floor. Try to keep the elbows straight. Even if it's like they're not lifting, but the elbows are straight and you feel that activation through the crease of your wrist, right? Nice. Put the palms down. Now see if you can flip your hands over like this, pressing the backs of your hands into the floor. If this is okay, you can move forward, loading your wrists a little bit more, but for most of us, I think we'll be better here. Try to straighten your elbows. Your fingers are pointing towards each other. Yeah, there you go. Straighten the elbows and then make fists. Gather your fingers into fists. Straighten the elbows. And then open your fists. And then gather the fingers into fists. Straighten the elbows. Yeah, you can do one hand at a time if it's too much, doing both of them at the same time. One last time. Fists, straighten the elbows, and then open. Beautiful, and then slowly flip your hands over. You can do this on a wall, right, as well. So in the kitchen, when you're going about your day, just place your hands on the wall, the backs of your hands, lean a little bit and make those fists and open. Really good stretch for the back of your hands. Find your book or your block, place it in front of you, and then your balls. I'll show you a really nice calf stretch rollout. Before we do the calf stretch, right, we're gonna roll it out. So we're gonna place, can you see my balls? We're gonna place the balls on your thing, the book or your block. So if you feel you need a little bit of a height underneath your sit bones, go ahead and do that. I'm going to place our leg right between the balls, right? The balls are in the toe. And you can press yourself up with your hands like this. This can be done lying down as well. If you know if this aggravates your shoulders or your wrists. So flex and point your foot. So if you can bend the other foot and you can press yourself up and sort of move back and forth like this. And find a spot that feels tender. Very likely that you will soon find something. So settle over that spot and then point and flex your foot a few times. And then see if you can make a circle with your ankle. The knee stays still. Ooh, yeah. Go slowly, slowly. Relax your jaw. Part your lips. Yay. You finding some treasures, Gloria? Yeah? Yeah. Okay, so a progression, if this is already like, ooh, I can barely breathe, stay there. Or you can load it up a little bit more. Yeah. And then try flexing and pointing here. Oh my goodness. And then you can find a different spot, maybe slightly higher towards the knee. Ooh, how are you doing, Donna? Yeah, good. Yeah, I know. And then you can go back and forth. Somebody did a PhD on this move, researched this move, and they discovered that, the way you can engage your calf increases, threefold after a rollout like this. There's a PhD, doctor who did research on therapy balls, and how it brings the muscle back online. Yeah. Ooh. Now let's do another side. So again, decide if maybe you want to lie down. So this feels great if you completely flat on your back, right? And you load it. Point and flex. When you're sitting up, you have more mobility, more options, so you can change the spot if you think that there's another spot that needs more attention. Point and flex. And when you start doing circles, try to watch your knee, make sure the knee doesn't move, because we think that we're moving at the ankle, but in fact the whole leg is moving, right? So we want to get that rotation into the ankle. Yeah. And then if you want to load, cross your ankles. Yay. Beautiful. Okay. Very nice. Now let's come up. So we did quite a bit of hinging at the hip, which is flexion of the hip. Now we'll repeat that extension exercise we did on Tuesday, and I hope you enjoyed it and you can sort of do this on your own at home. We're gonna come up onto the knees, take a step forward with your left. So your left hip is flexed, but your right hip is sort of straightened out and your ribs are right on top of that hip, right? And then when we tip the pelvis back, notice how it sort of lengthens this line. We're extending the hip instead of now flexing it. We did some hinging, but now we're opening that hinge back out. Move the pelvis back and forth. Feel the movement through the lower back. And then tip the pelvis back, keep it there. So feel it lengthening through that hinge area. Now press your hands into the wall in front of you and start pushing the wall away while still tipping the pelvis under. Tuck your chin in and try to create space between your shoulder blades. Breathing here, looking for that sideways extension through the ribs. Beautiful. And then slowly, slowly letting go. And let's switch sides. Take your left foot back. Take a step forward with your right. And then first, make sure that the left knee is right underneath your left hip. Yep, everybody looks good. Start moving your pelvis back and forth. Again, stay aware of this movement in the lower back, right? We're moving the lower back here. And then we tip our pelvis back. Find lengthening through the front of your left hip. Now the spine will stay still and the pelvis tucked under. We're sort of lengthening through the lower back. And now we press the hands into the wall at shoulder height. And then we push the wall away. Keep tucking your pelvis back, tucking the tail under, and widening the space between your shoulder blades. Breathing here. Beautiful, and slowly let go. Take a step back. Have your toes come together, knees slightly apart, and let's just take 2 breaths in the child pose here. Rest your forehead on your fists. And just take a moment here. See if you can breathe into your lower belly, into your bottom ribs, and feel that hinge at the hip. You're in a hinge now, but your lower back is rounded in the child pose. Just notice that. Nice. And then push yourself up. Before we get up, we're going to roll our blanket for the calf stretch. So this will be our half dome. If you have your half dome there, Lindy, you're welcome to use it. So roll your blanket nice and tight so it's like a nice roll, or you can use your yoga mat as well. And then make your way up to standing. So calf stretch is one of those moves that we cannot do enough of, as I say. Let's start with the left foot. So we rolled out the calf, so maybe you'll notice a difference this time from Tuesday, because we didn't do the rollout on Tuesday. Left, the ball of your left foot is on top of your rolled up blanket. And then take your right foot forward so your feet are roughly parallel, right? If this is way too much, and maybe you'll notice how your lower back your hips want to shift forward, and that's shortening the lower back. So we don't want that. We want the ribcage to be stuck right on top of the pelvis. Shift your hips back so you feel the weight of your body sitting in your heels. Maybe you'll have to take that right leg back a little bit. So looking for the stretch through the calf muscle, the lower part of your left leg right there. If you've been doing this for a while, maybe you can take a step forward, right? Maybe then you can bring that leg forward ahead of the one that you're stretching. But the main point, the key to an effective stretch is to have this hip of the leg that you're stretching right on top of the ankle. It wants to go back like this, or maybe forward, or maybe the knee wants to bend right on top. Beautiful. So press the ball of the foot into the blanket and then see if you can pulse the knee, bending and straightening. Tiny little pulses, bend and straight. Bend and straight. And register the sensations that you're experiencing. The feet are hip width apart, right? And we're sending the knee forward. The knee wants to go in towards midline or up maybe. Try to send it forward. And you'll find that really, most likely, a very tight sort of line through the outer side of your ankle that kind of feels like bone on bone almost. But there is movement potentially there. We just need to wake it up. Yeah, beautiful. And then straighten the knee. Stand on your right, extend your left back. Tuck your toes under. You can hold on to something if you need to. Curl the toes under. Stretch the top of the foot. Again, notice if the hips want to shift forward, right? And that's what happens in the kitchen a lot. Our hips really want to move in towards the countertop. Let's shift them back. And then move the leg in and out a couple times. Stretching the top of the foot. You can do this on top of a pillow if this is very intense for you. Nice and slow, right? Slowing it down. Very nice. Beautiful. So keep standing on your right. Pick up your left. Pull the heel up. I'm going to turn like this so you can see me. See how, the hip wants to we want to sink into that hip. Can you hug it back in? Keep pulling the heel up. And that's activating your hamstring. Pretend when you were on your back and you were dragging the heels down the wall, that's the same activation. Find that same activation through the back line of your leg. Yeah, like you're dragging your heel right down the wall towards your bum. But this way is more challenging because the gravity is pushing down on the heel, right? And we're resisting the gravity. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Step forward with your left. Ooh, feel that activation. Pull the toes off the floor. See how I'm on my heel here. The hips are still hip width apart, the shoulder width apart. And now we're going to soften the right knee. And we're going to find our hinge here. Closing this angle without moving the lower back. Keep pulling the left toes up. Check in with your lid. Is your lid open here? Beautiful. And then pivot on your left heel. Side to side like this. So you're stretching, sort of lengthening different lines through the back line of your leg. And try not to move the hips. The hips stay completely still. Yeah, it's the leg, from the root of the leg, in and out. Very nice. Come back to center and then unhinge. Stand on your right, shake out your left. See how the hip wants to sink? Maybe even allow it to sink to feel the difference. Whoop. Suck it back in, shake it out. What happens here, also, it wants to go this way. Bring it back in, shake it, shake it. Hold on to something if, this allows you to focus more on keeping your hips stable and keeping a nice shake going through the left side. Beautiful. And then place the foot down. Let's do the other side. Whoa, that was a nice sequence. So your rolled up towel or blanket or yoga mat, right foot, the ball of the right foot on top of the blanket. Your hip width apart through the feet. Then notice if the hips want to shift forward, shift them back so the right hip is right on top of the right ankle. Now see if you can move your left foot forward a little bit without shifting your hips. That will increase the stretch. And now we're going to pulse the right knee, micro bending the right knee without moving the hips, without moving the lower back, straighten. Micro bend, send the knee directly forward. Notice if the knee wants to go towards the midline. If anything, send it towards the pinky side of your foot. Straighten, bend again, and then straighten, and bend again, breathing. Beautiful. Okay, straighten. Now standing on your left, extend your right leg behind you, tuck your toes under. If you need a cushion or a blanket under your toes, by all means do that. And now we're gonna move the leg in and out from the root of the leg. Nothing is moving above the hips, right? It's the root of the leg moving inside your hip joint. Stretching the top of the foot. Now standing on your left, pick up the right heel. Pull it up to your bum and see how the side wants to move forward. Try to keep your sides parallel. Think of see how I'm on my back. Pretend I'm on the floor, right? And I'm dragging my heel down the wall towards my bum. And I find that activation through the back line. Beautiful. And I notice if the lid wants to pop open. Ribs down, lengthen through your lower back. Keep dragging that heel up or down the wall if you pretend to be on the floor. 4, 3, fire, 2, and 1. Ooh, and slowly release. Step forward with your right. Not a huge step. Still hip width apart. Pull the right toes off the floor. So you're on your heel. Soften your left knee and then start hinging. Send your sit bones back. Make sure you're not popping your lid open here, right? Now pivot on that heel. Side to side. The neck is long. Also look at your left knee. Has it moved in towards midline? Make sure it's pointing forward. Beautiful. And then slowly unhinge. Stand on your left, shake out your right. Shake it, shake it. Let's sink into the left hip and then hug it back in. Feel how nice and supported it feels, like we injected a puff of air right into that hip joint. And now we can really focus on shaking the right side. Beautiful. And then slowly place your foot down. Feel both feet on the floor. Nice. Okay. So last thing, we're gonna put it all together, right? We're gonna activate the back line of the legs and we're gonna find the hinge in order to bring our upper sort of torso, our upper body forward without loading the lower back too much, supporting it with our legs. So let's stand with our back to the wall. Gloria and Terry, you'll have to move your screen again, right? So you can see me, or if you can, yeah. So we'll be 1 foot, like half a foot away from the wall so that you can have your bum on the wall and your heels are not touching there, I guess half a foot from the wall. And then you push yourself up off the wall, right? So you're not leaning back. Find your hip bones in the front here with your pinkies, and then your thumbs go on your bottom ribs here. And then now think of corkscrewing your heels in towards midline, softening your knees just a touch to activate the back line of your legs, like you're dragging your heels down the wall, right? Or when we were doing this, find that activation. And then slowly send your sit bones towards the wall while hinging at the hips. Touch the wall with your sit bones and then push through your feet, come up. Inhale here. Again, activating the back line of the legs. Think of corkscrewing the heels in, pulling the heels up to your bum, and then hinging. Nothing changes through the front of the abdominal wall. You just feel it engaged. Nothing changes through the lower back. We're hinging and then push, come up. Take a step, tiny step away from the wall. So we're gonna add a little bit of a challenge. So now that you've discovered this hinge and you know how to activate the back line of your legs. So same arrangement, but now we have to go further to the wall, right? Corkscrewing the heels into the floor. Activate the back line first. Find that engagement, like you're dragging the heels down the wall, right? Now start hinging. Nothing changes in the lower back. Keep hinging, the lid stays on. See if you can touch the wall now. And then push through the feet. Come up. So decide, was the wall too far away? Maybe you'll take a step back a little bit. Were you able to touch it without losing the core, right, and your legs? Let's do it 2 more times on your own. So it has to be challenging, but doable for you. So activating the back lines of the legs, hinging, the spine doesn't move. Think of leading with your sit bones. So you want to glue the sit bones to the wall. And then push through your feet to come up. All right. Beautiful. And we're ready to settle for our Shavasana, for the resting pose. So if you really enjoyed having the legs up the wall, by all means do that. It's such a great way to give our lower back a little bit of a rest and to sort of induce a relaxation response. So you can have the blanket just the way we had it in the beginning, with a little bit of a thicker part at the top, right? And the bottom part will line up with your shoulder blade. You sit maybe a foot away from the wall. Go onto your side, nice and slow. Make sure the blanket feels just right. And then bring your legs up the wall. And the feet are maybe a foot width apart from each other. See if you can really sink into the shape. Your middle back is hovering off the floor and you're invited to relax down towards the floor. You're gonna feel supported along. Now let's spend a few minutes here observing our breath. Noticing the three-dimensional expansion through the ribcage. And watching the soft rising and falling of your belly. Relax the skin across your forehead. Allow the eyes to be heavy underneath the eyelids. Your jaw relaxes. Your chest softens. Your ribcage gently expands side to side, left to front, and top to bottom. Your belly rises on the inhale, falls down on the exhale. Your hips feel heavy on the floor. Your arms and your shoulders relax and feel heavy on the floor. And your legs feel weightless. Now slowly invite your inhales to lengthen and your exhales to lengthen. Gently moving your fingertips. Sense this movement in your fingertips radiating up your arms into your shoulders. And move your toes. And sense this movement radiate into your legs, into your hips, maybe even up into your belly. And slowly bring your feet down the wall. Roll onto your side. And then push yourself. And take your time.